Hello everyone, how are you? I hope all of you are fine. So yesterday we have learned about introduction to DBMS and its advantages and disadvantages. Now in our today's lecture we are going to a new topic, that is data model. Before learning about data model, the first question arises, what a model is. So can anybody tell me what a model is? Basically a model, you can say it's a prototype of what a real world existing thing look like, or you can say that it's a representation of reality or a real world object, event or association, right? So DM, or you can say data model, it represents the organization itself. Why I'm saying about the organization, for suppose I'm storing a data of a particular organization or a school or a company or government or a bank or a corporate sector companies, PSUs, MNCs. So I need their complete organization's data to build a database for it, right? So basically, DM is a model which represents the organization itself, or you can say it describe करता है how a database look like or what are the perspectives of the concepts of database. So basically data model is a set of concepts to describe the structure of a database, how a database look like, or you can say how a data is organized or stored in a particular database. Now what is the use of a data model? Basically we use data model to communicate between the database designer and an end user. Now for suppose I'm a programmer, right? So when I'm building a database for any company or any organization, so I'm going to communicate with the end users or my clients. Now what those clients will do, they will tell us these are requirements, we need these types of fields, we need this kind of database. Now how a DBMS, or you can say a DBMS programmer or a DBA or a database programmer or a designer going to communicate with them? They are communicating with their end user or the clients by the functionality of data model. They are designing a data model, and then data model is finalized by the client or the end user. Then programmer or DBA start to work on it. Okay. Now there are three components of a data model. First one is structural. Next one is manipulative, and the last one is integrity. Okay. So first one is structural. Next one is manipulative, and the last one is integrity. What the structural component of data model say? Basically these are the rules on which data model is constructed. हम किन basis पे, किन rules के base पे हम हमारा database को create करेंगे? Those rules are constrained or they are contained in structural part of this. Next one is manipulative, which operations we are going to apply on the database. Now for suppose I'm making a database in which only I need to retrieve the information. मैं सिर्फ उसमें से information retrieve कर सकती हूँ. Let us take an example of examination field, right? CBSE has declared the results of 12th and 12th. You are just entering your roll number and you are getting your result. You are just retrieving your result. So it's that you are only selecting that part. You are just retrieving the information or fetching the information. आप उसके अंदर कोई changes नहीं कर सकते. So these are the operations which we are applying on that field that is contained in the manipulative component of the data model. Last one is the integrity rules. As I have told you before that while creating a database, we have to keep in mind that data integrity should be there. That means the accuracy and correctness of data should be there. How we can maintain the accuracy and correctness of data? Only by two things, by reducing the redundancy and by controlling the inconsistency. Okay, if we have controlled the inconsistency and we have reduced the redundancy of the database, then we can easily maintain the integrity of the database, or you can say the correctness or accuracy of that database. Okay. So we are having three components. One is structural, next manipulative, third one is integrity. Structural, how data is organized, basically how we are going to construct it. Manipulative, what operations we are going to apply on it. And last one is integrity, that defines the accuracy of the data inserted in it. Now we are having three types of data model. First one is record based data model. Next, physical data model. After that, we are having object-based data model. Now, while talking about the record-based data model, why these are named as record-based? Okay, the question arises, why these are named as record-based? So basically in record-based data model, first we are defining how we are going to store our data. Okay, we are defining the procedure or how we are going to store our data. That's why these are record-based data model. Whereas in physical data model, we are just consulting or we are just putting our, you can say, concern about that how data is stored, means focusing on the data. Okay, it's ordering, its access path on this. Okay. Next one, we are having object-based data models on which we are focusing on what the data is and how we are going to work on it. First, they have to focus on what the data, then how. Whereas in record-based, we are first focusing on how, then what. Okay. So, record-based data models are the oldest ones. In this first, we are going to learn about the hierarchical data model. Hierarchical data model, as the name suggests, when we are in a family, we know that we are having a family tree, a hierarchy, right? We are having a hierarchy in organization, in family, and in other places. So basically, in this type of data model, storing them in the form of a tree, or you can say basically the first one is considered as a root node. First one is considered as a root node or the root of the tree. Next, we are having the childs. In this, we are following a hierarchy. Now you can see over here, we are having an example, employee. That means it is our table, or you can say that it's a database, in which first one is an employee. In employee, we are having three types of employees. It can be a permanent employee, contract-based employee, or an intern. Next, in permanent, we can having a manager or a software engineer. So this is an hierarchy. First, you are going to employee, then permanent or contract, then manager. So we are going downwards in a particular form. Or you can take the example of family. We are having great grandparents, then grandparents, then children and their children. So we are maintaining a hierarchy. Same case if we are talking about a school, right? So first we are having the director, then president, then principal, then teachers, and so on, right? So this is a hierarchical data model. Next we are having is network data model. Network data model is the oldest data model that we are working on, or you can say that the first data model. In this, the data, or you can say the data is stored in the form of links, nodes and links. You can see here, we are having a node store. It is connected with customer, manager, salesman. Then they are connected with order items, right? In this, one node is connected with other. Means a one node can connect it with one or many. They are having a one-to-one relationship or a one-to-many relationship. So basically network model we are having many links. Hierarchical में हम क्या कर रहे थे, हम एक प्रॉपर फॉर्म में नीचे जा रहे थे, हम वापस उसमें एक दूसरे से कनेक्ट नहीं हो रहे थे, हम एक प्रॉपर फॉर्मेट, एक ट्री के फॉर्म में हम नीचे जा रहे थे. नेटवर्क डेटा मॉडल में ऐसा नहीं होता है, इनमें बहुत सारे लिंक्स होते हैं तो हम एक दूसरे से बहुत इजीली कनेक्ट कर सकते हैं. नेक्स्ट वी आर हैविंग relational model on which we have to focus in our session. Relational model is basically those data models in which data is stored in the form of tables. As we all know that tables are a form of rows and columns. So basically a table is known as a relation. So in relation model, the data is formed or stored in the form of table. Okay. Next, in physical data models, we are having different types of data models. Popular one is unifying data model. Okay, we are not talking about it here. Next, we are having object-based data models. In this first one, we are having entity relationship model. As the name suggests, in this we are having entity and their relationship. Now, what an entity is? Entity is basically a real-world existing thing. Whatever the thing is existing in a real world, an object, a real world thing, it is known as entity. Writer is a person. Same case, consumer is a person. They are existing in the real world. So these are the entities. Same case, novel. Novel is also an object. It is existing in the real world thing. So it is also an entity. Now, what is a relationship? What is the relationship between writer and novel? A writer creates a novel. A writer writes a novel. So relationship is create here. Okay, a writer create a novel. Same case, a consumer buys a novel. Fine, those ones which are in the rectangular boxes are the entities in this model, and those which are in the diagonal shaped objects, these are the relationships, and they are connected with links. So basically a ER model, or you can say these are the diagram based models which are easy to understand by a consumer or a client and by the database programmers also. Next one we are having object-oriented data model. In this, as the name suggests, we are focusing on what our object or what our data is, and then we are going to form the procedure for it. You can see over here we are having two different entities or two different objects. One is employee, other one is department. Now in this we are having employee, we are having attributes like name, job title, phone number, salary, department ID. Attributes are basically, you can say, the columns, okay, in which we are storing our data, our vertical ones, which are the columns, and methods are the functions which are applying on those particular columns. Same case in department, we are having department ID, department name, and the method which is applying on them is change department. So in object-oriented data model, they are focusing on what the data is, then they are performing the functionalities of object-oriented data model. What functions we are going to, methods are also known as functions, what functions we are going to perform on. You can see over here at employee one, we can change the date by get hired method. Okay, we can change the number in phone number by change number method. Same case, we can change the department by change department method. So these are the data models that we focus in our today's lecture. One was the record-based data model, then physical data model, after the object-based data model. In data models, we are having three components. First one is the structural, then manipulative, and last one was the integrity. Okay, in record-based data models, we are having hierarchical, network, and relational. After that, in object-based, we are having object-oriented data model and entity relationship. And in physical, we are having a unified data model. Out of this, we have to focus on relational model because our session completely depends on the relation model, which we are going to study in our next class. So thank you children for today's class. We will meet tomorrow.